I lived in a house from hell for 4 years, from age 11 to almost 16. There was constantly something happening. Doors flying open and shut, voices, footsteps, nothing ever stayed where you put it. I was alone in there a lot because both my parents worked and I was constantly terrified. One of the most gut-leveling disturbing things, though, was the little girl in my bathroom. Every time I walked past my bathroom door, which was constantly since it was right outside my bedroom, I saw a little girl with blonde coat hair and a rose-colored dress. She just stood there staring, looking like a photograph from 1905. I started keeping the door closed so I couldn't walk by without seeing her, but she was always there when I opened it. Once I stepped in past her. I couldn't see her anymore, but I could feel her there. She scared me, but I felt sorry for her because she was trapped there, just like me, but probably forever. As the years went by, and things in the house continued to get worse, she started seeming darker. I started feeling like she wasn't really a girl. I knew there was something ugly in the house. I felt like it was presenting the sympathetic image to me. Then I started thinking I was completely losing my mind. One day when I was 14, I had a friend from out of town come stay with me for a week. I hadn't told her anything whatsoever about the house. I didn't think she would come if I did. Right after she got there, I was sitting in my room and she left to go to the bathroom. About a minute later she walked back with a puzzled look on her face and said, "So there's a little girl in your bathroom?" Yeah, I said. "She hangs out there. Blonde hair, curls, pink dress," she said. "Yeah, you know that." "Yeah," and then she said, "You know that's not really a little girl, don't you?" I almost threw up. I was so relieved and terrified, and excited, and ready to run out of the house screaming. She wouldn't use my bathroom for the rest of the week, and I started using it as little as possible. Eventually we moved out, and I could not have been happier. I distanced myself from it mentally as much as I could. Then when I was 18, I took another friend on a road trip to pack up a few things I left in the house. The minute we got on the property, my friend seemed uncomfortable. When we came around the bend in the long, steep driveway, he went completely white. I could tell something was wrong. But he insisted he was okay, so he got to work. After a while, he asked to use the bathroom and I directed him to mine. About 20 seconds after he left, he came running back in, gasping for breath, and slammed the bedroom door right behind him. He started babbling about a little blonde girl who isn't really a little girl. All of a sudden he went dead still, looked me in the eye, and very solemnly said, "She's not happy with you. You left and you weren't supposed to." We threw whatever we could grab in 2 trips in my car. After I walked with him to the bathroom and waited outside the door, we got the hell out of there at top speed. In my old apartment, my dog would on occasion look down the hallway towards the bedroom from the living room and growl, for no apparent reason. Also on occasion when I was sleeping in the bedroom, she slept at the foot of the bed. I'd wake up with her staring intently at the door, and she was a big girl. So I'm there for a couple of years of this thinking, okay, my dog has a good imagination. Wrong. One night, I woke up due not to my dog growling, but barking. All she was worth. For all she was worth. And not at the door, she was barking straight at me. I opened my eyes, pretty much immediately, and there was a blur of light, leaning over me, very close, certainly less than 6 inches from my face. It was not distinguishable as a person. It more resembled a person-sized version of a colorful nebula you might see a picture in a science magazine. 3-dimensional and all. I immediately got the distinct impression that the thing had been watching me sleep. For who knows how long, and how many times before. For all the clarity of that distinct feeling, I had no sense of what it wanted, whether it was just malevolent or just curious. I freaked out. I jumped backwards to the other side of the bed, too terrified to scream. That blur of light receded and disappeared, over about the course of 3 seconds. My dog was going absolutely ape. So shortly thereafter I asked the building manager if anyone had ever died there. She investigated that and came back to me a couple of weeks later with a yes. A woman had died of a drug overdose in that apartment in 1995, 12 years earlier, shortly after having her child removed from her custody because of her addiction problems. My dog did still growl the whole way from time to time, but I never saw it again. I moved out about a year later. I've had other encounters, but this thing was literally inches from my face, watching me sleep. So when I was a kid, I would race up to the top of the stairs as fast as I could, like it was some sort of silly game. Well, I must have been 5 or 6 at the time, I'm not sure, but I know I was very little. Somewhere along the way, a voice at the top of the stairs started talking to me, and started to whisper to me. It would make bets with me, such as, "I bet you a penny you can't make it to the top of the stairs." I didn't really think there was a certain amount of time or anything. As I said, I was very little, so I probably didn't have any counting abilities anyway. I recall sitting at the top of the stairs having conversations with this voice about the betting, of course. Eventually the voice, it was like a whisper of a man's voice, not my own voice, in my head. I started to bet my life. Instead of pennies, it would say, "I bet your life you can't make it up the stairs." As I got older, it stopped. I never really thought about it at all. I never mentioned it to anyone, until one night I was sleeping over at my brother's place. I was about 18, he was 22, and we were talking about spooky stories. Out of nowhere I brought up the voice at the top of the stairs, and my brother got all quiet and weird. Before I even mentioned the betting aspect, he said, "Did it make bets with you?" We both looked at each other horrified. It certainly was freaky after that. A lot of bad stuff went down in my family at that period of time in my life, and my mother, a heavily religious lady, said there was a lot of evil in our lives at that time. I don't at all think our place was haunted. By the way, it was built in the late 70s, and as I got older, I never experienced anything like that again.